I've been put in this box. I've been told stay in your lane. I've been told you're just a doctor. I'm like, I don't want that. I want to be a limitless physician, which means I can build the business I want to build. I can have the life I want to have.
Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. I hear people tell me, I'm not focused. How can I be focused? And the truth of the matter is, everybody is focused. The question is, what are we focused on? And most of the world's population and most entrepreneurs are focused on the things that are not actually taking them in the direction they wish they could go in. They allow their focus to happen to them by default. That's why they don't even realize that they're focused, right? But the people who are ultra successful, the people like you who are going to be limitless physicians, meaning you're able to create your dream business and your dream life, you're the kind of person who is intentional about your focus. You choose your focus and you spend your time focused on your focus. I'm running a series, and over the next 5 weeks, we're going to look at 5 things to focus on that will make your success inevitable. And when I talk about success, what I mean is you're building a business, it's serving a lot of people, it's creating time freedom for you, it's creating financial freedom for you, it sets you up so you have the dream business and the dream life. If that is something that you want over the next 12 months and then 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, then there are 5 things you need to focus on. These are the 5 things that I'm focused on. These are the things that I have focused on to take me from a socially awkward, super shy, introvert to somebody who is running 5 companies, who has a company who's been on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies for 3 years in a row, homeschooling 4 children, mentoring thousands on a daily basis, top 1% podcast, YouTube channel with over 1 million views in less than 18 months, and on and on and on and on, right? And not only have I focused on that to come here, I am focusing, I'm leaning on that to go to the next step, to go to where I want to be over the next 12 months. Okay. So you really want to lean into these 5 episodes. And today, the first focus we're going to talk about is expectation. Okay. Now, what is expectation? It's a strong belief that something is going to happen. Okay. And some might be thinking, oh, I need to work on some expectations, like developing some expectations. No, we all have expectations. Some of them are by default and some of them are intentional. And for most people, most of them are by default. Now, you have to understand the way the world works. If you're not sure about it, look at nature. If I went and I bought a property and it's just land and it was, say, 10 acres and all of that, and I hired some people and had them clear out the land, like clear out all the grass, all the trees, all the things that were on there, like we just have pure, like just land, and I left it, something will grow. Okay. Like because I didn't plant anything, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll think about what I want to get there. It doesn't mean nothing will grow. Something is going to grow. If I intentionally plant, I may have apples, I may have peaches, I may have mangoes, I may have all of those things. If I don't intentionally plant, I will have some things called weeds. And so for most people, their expectations are weeds. They're expecting things they don't want. In fact, they know they don't want it, but it is their expectation. And because they're not focused on curating their expectation, it just sits there. And guess what happens? Your expectation, your strong belief that something will happen, will determine how you show up, how you act. And because it determines that, your actions will in turn determine your results, and your results will look like your expectations. So your expectation is like a double-edged sword. It is very powerful if it's intentional. It's very dangerous if it's a default. The choices here are leave your expectation to chance, and then you're going to have weeds as your expectation. So you're going to have weeds as your result. You're not going to have no expectation and go to, oh my goodness, my dream business and my dream life. That's not the way it works. Or you can curate your expectation. And by default, you would have curated, you'd have set the stage to curate your dream business and your dream life. Now, so someone may be thinking, I want strategy, Dr. Una, I don't want to hear about these things. No. You have to hear about these things, because the starting point of not accomplishing your goals is not taking the action. That's not the starting point. The starting point is What is your expectation? Not what do you wish your expectation would be? Because if I talk to someone like, oh yeah, I want to build a $10 million business. I want to have this kind of team. I want to have that. Great. But day to day, moment by moment, what is your expectation? When I hear people like, I don't know, I don't know, hopefully all these things I'm doing are working, they either have no great expectation or they've just started working on it, so it hasn't taken yet. As long as is the default, as long as is not curated, it sets us up. Now, the thing about us in this time, this moment that we're living in is for physicians, we are in what could be a dangerous situation if we're unaware of it, because we are surrounded by things that make our expectation, our default expectation negative. Okay. So when we think about the things that create your belief, what are the things that create your belief? Okay. Well, early experiences, that would be one. Okay. Now we don't have to go back to childhood, but if you think about it, our experience as physicians, as physician entrepreneurs, right? It's like maybe you've had failed projects or you've seen people have failed projects and you're like, oh my goodness, right? This erodes your belief that you can pull it off, you can build the size of business you wanted, or you have the team you wanted, or whatever. Okay. When we look at cultural influences, I have so many clients in the Entrepreneur Business School who had mentors who told them what you're trying to do, you cannot do. You need to stop it. You need to put that idea away. They've had so many mentors because culturally, like as the physician community, the culture is, oh, business doesn't work. We're not business people. We care about people. We don't care about money and all of these things. So again, if you leave your expectation to default, chances are it's going to be negative because of the cultural influences. And that's really cultural and social, right? So you look at the Facebook groups you're a part of. What are the conversations that happen there? Oh, private practice is not working. Physicians cannot replace their salary as coaches and all of these things, right? So it sets the stage, or coaches are frauds, right? Like just trying to take money from other people and things like that. Concierge doctors are sellouts and so many things. And if you just, again, so your expectation is, oh, this can't work. It's somewhere back there. This can't work. Okay. And then your own life experiences, right? And think about an entrepreneur. If you see an entrepreneur building a $10 million business, you must understand that they've had many failed projects, right? Because entrepreneurship is the great experiment. We come up with a goal, we work a hypothesis, this is how we're going to get there. We execute that plan like full speed. I would like, okay, this worked, that didn't work. Let's take what worked, let's optimize it, let's drop what didn't, and all of that stuff. Like, so you're going to have many things that you tried that didn't work. And so if you allow it, it will form this expectation that these kind of things don't work. At least these kind of things don't work for me. Do you see how dangerous, like danger it is to just let whatever thought sit and do whatever it does? This is so expensive because as long as we have this expectation, and again, not the expectation you wish you had, the expectation you truly have, as long as we have this expectation on my private practice, my schedule can't be full, right? Because everybody's schedule is not full, which is not true. There are people who have, I have clients who have wait lists 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months long, right? Okay. Or you have this expectation that, oh, I can't afford this kind of team member, right? Guess what you're going to do? You're going to act in alignment with that. I have docs who, we've worked past this, but they wanted to hire somebody, but they didn't think somebody like that would follow them, or if someone like that came into their business, they'll find out that they didn't really know what they were doing or whatever. And even though they had the ad, they had the skill of this is how, of hiring, even though they had the space for the person, they had the money to pay the person, they never put an ad out. They never put an ad out. Why? The expectations, I can't hire this person. If you think as a coach, like I can't replace my physician salary, please. And every time I see that, I come at it because I'm like, guys, listen, first of all, there are many coaches who are not physicians who are making a lot more than physicians are making. And they're not doing bad things. It's not a scam. Okay. Second of all, we have people, like I have clients who have made so much more than they could have ever made as a salary as coaches. So can you do that? Like, absolutely. But as long as your expectation is that you can't, this is not a thing that happens, and all of those things, then you're not going to succeed. You're not going to act out of alignment with what your expectation is. business. So you want to check and see, what is my true expectation? What do I expect of my business? What do I expect of what kind of revenue I can create? What do I expect of the kind of team I can lead? What do I expect of the way I'll be perceived in the marketplace? What is my expectation? Like, check every aspect of your business, how much time I can have off, all of those things, because your life will conform to your default expectation. So for you, the ultra successful person who is like, I'm going to build my dream business and my dream life, I'm going to be a limitless physician. Limitless, right? Like, I've been put in this box. I've been told stay in your lane. I've been told you can come this far in Zamunda. I've been told you're just a doctor, all of those things. I'm like, I don't want that. I want to be a limitless physician, which means I can build the business I want to build. I can have the life I want to have. I can have the dream business and the dream life. Let me show you the antidote for negative expectations. Like, you want to curate an expectation, a set of expectations that make your success inevitable. That's what you want. Let's talk about how you do that. So number one is that you expose yourself to people who are where you want to be. So in the beginning of the EntreMD Business School, for instance, right? People were like, I don't want to be in a community. I want one-on-one. And I'm like, please hear me when I say this. Like, I know one-on-one is powerful. I know what I'm good at. I'm really good at it. Like, you give me 20 minutes, I can turn your world right side up. That's my gift. But in addition to that, and almost as important as that, is a community of people who are doing what you want to do, right? At different stages, but they're doing what you want to do. I'm like, the power of that, you can't understand it till you experience it. And so in the beginning, I got a lot of resistance and hesitation, all of that stuff. And I remember after the school had been around for a few months, then I started hearing what I knew I would hear. And this is what it was. Oh, Dr. Una, you are so amazing. But, Dr. Una, she's amazing. Oh, but my goodness, the community. My goodness, the community. I knew it. Why? Because when you put yourself in an environment, a community, a group of people, in the midst of a group of people who are where you want to be or are going where you want to go, it shifts your expectation. If somebody walks into the EntreMD Business School and you look at somebody and this person is like, I just crossed 1 million in revenue. This person says, I crossed 3 million in revenue. This person says, I did a launch and I did 1 million in revenue. This person says, I took 6 weeks off. This other person says, I negotiated like a boss and my rates went up by 20%. This person said, I raised my prices. Like, to be in that kind of community day in and day out, what it does is makes you say, if that is possible for them, then this must be possible for me. What it does is it curates your expectation. It expands what you can expect. It expands what you consider is the norm. So your new default becomes bigger. And it's not in a competitive way, like if they had that, I must have that. No, it's if they had that, then I must have this, which is whatever I want, right? Because we are in community, but we're running individual races in community. And so putting yourself in places where people are where you want to be is one way of doing that. And it's not just the business school. Like, for instance, right? Like, you're listening to this podcast. I'm sure we're not even through with what you need to do, but I'm sure your expectation is being expanded. You're auditing your expectations to say, what do I truly expect? What's my default expectation? And you started making changes, right? That's why I tell a lot of stories on the podcast so you can hear it and you're like, right? I love to talk about, what our practice, for instance, has done, what EntreMD has done. Why? Because somebody's believing, well, this can't work for me because I'm a mom. This can't work for me because I'm a person of color. This can't work for me because I'm an immigrant. This can't work for me because I didn't have a business education. This can work for me because I'm one of the lowest paying specialties. And I have all of those things. And so the reason I tell story after story after story is for you to say, well, she has all those things and it seems to be working for her. I wonder what it could do for me, right? And so that's the way I want you to think about this. And so it's the communities, it's the podcast. And let me stop and say this, right? One of the things I see that are it's a very wild thing for me when I observe it is, for instance, maybe in a physician community, somebody comes out and says, I hit 1 million in revenue, or, I retired, I did enough to retire, or I sold my business or whatever. And some people will come out and they're like, oh, that's so amazing. How did you do it? And all of those things. And a lot of people come out and said, well, must be nice. Well, who did you sell to? And, like, are you part of the problem in medicine and all? And of course, this is a general thing, right? There's some things that are a problem in medicine, but this is the thing. If you find when you hear stories of successful people, especially successful physicians, you get suspicious. You're like, it must be a scam. There's something they're doing wrong. All of those things. Catch yourself, because you cannot become what you detest. If you feel some kind of way, like you feel mad and upset at like all these people, you cannot become these people when you're like all these people. And so catch yourself. If you find that the success of others ticks you off, then it's time to stop and say, okay, why is that? Could it be because I'm not where I want to be? Could it be because they're calling me out just by being them on something that I want to do? What is it? And there's no right or wrong. Just explore it. And if it's a reason that doesn't make sense, ditch it. Ditch it, right? And then choose to look at, imagine, and ask questions so you can learn from people and keep it moving. But as long as you say, those physician entrepreneurs or those people who are going after 7 figures or those people going after 8 figures, as long as you do that, you may secretly want it, but you can't become it because you detest it. Okay? All right. First antidote that will help you get rid of the negative default and start curating expectations that will make your success inevitable is exposing yourself to people who are where you want to be. This must be done intentionally. This must be done consistently. This is something I always do, always, like in the right space, listening to the right stuff. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is a reflection on the quantum leaps that you've experienced in your life already. Because sometimes we have this thing of, I can't do this, I can't do that, especially when physicians tell me that. I'm like, do you know what you've done to become a physician? You are ridiculously amazing. And you have experienced so much evolution, so much transformation. Like if you look at yourself 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, what would those versions of you think about the version of you now? They're like, oh. And so because we don't take that to heart, we just believe we're stuck. Like, oh, I'm all I can be right now. No, 1,000 times no. Some people may not have evidence that they can change. You have evidence that you can change. But the mind, undisciplined mind, you've heard me say this many times on the podcast, is an idiot. It's a complete fool, like a complete idiot. And so your mind can offer you like, you're stuck. If there's something you don't know, you can never know it. If there's something you're not now, you can never become it. What could be further from the truth? What could be further from the truth? You weren't a medical student, you became one. You became a doctor, you became a resident, some of you became a fellow, some of you are triple board certified, right? And think about all the procedures you can do. Think about all the things that used to be nerve-wracking that you couldn't even, how can I do this? And you do it like almost in your sleep. You started a business, you grew the business, you have a team now, you lead a team. I mean, like take stock of who you become. You've brought in 6 figures in revenue, 7 figures, multiple 7 figures. Now you have multiple verticals in your business. Like, are you kidding? Because we don't know our track record, it's easy to believe, oh, this new thing we can't do. You may be like, I can't hire another doctor. But you've built a whole business. Look at all the people you've hired. Like, clearly, you can hire a doctor. Now, you may need to learn a thing or two or work on, like whatever those limiting beliefs and stuff are. But can you do it? Absolutely, right? Maybe you've retired from, like I've retired from one business and come into another business and my mind started offering me like, oh, you can't build a team run business here. I'm like, hello, you retired from a business. Of course you can. Like what? And so you take stock of all the massive transformations you've experienced. And then you're like, we can do this one more time, right? Whatever it is that we need to accomplish, we can become the kind of person who does that one more time. Whatever this big thing is, we've accomplished big things before. We're just going to accomplish one more big thing. You got to know this. This is part of how you build that expectation, right? Like, of course I can. Okay. The third thing, and this is something I do every single day, okay, is brainwash yourself for success every day. Brainwash yourself for success daily. And what do I mean by that? Your mind doesn't know whether the pictures it sees are true or not. Your mind is a believer. of whatever you put in front of it. And so when I say that, I don't mean like physical pictures only. If you take the picture of, oh, my private practice is not going to work and the insurance reimbursements are going to keep getting lower, and then I'm going to have to lay off my team, and then, I'm not going to be able to hire other staff, and then we're going to have to go to business. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to get a job again, or maybe work locums. Like, because again, the undisciplined mind will take you there. It'll take you. So what you're doing is you're creating a movie and you're watching the movie. And the more you watch that movie, the more it becomes your expectation. And the more it's your expectation, the more you act in line with it. The more you act in line with it, the more you create it. Period. End of story. Guys, your expectation is the most deadly weapon against you, or the most powerful tool for you, depending on how you use it. But it will not leave you the same. It will not. We all have them. Those that don't have expectations. Oh, yes, you do. You may not have curated expectations, but you have the expectation. So brainwashing yourself for success daily is then playing the right movies, playing the movie of where you want to go. And you might say, but it's made up. So is the crazy movie you've been playing about, not being able to hire this team member, or not being able to take your business to 8 figures, or take your business to 7 figures, but you got so burnt out in the process, you quit on your business. All of this stuff, that's all made up. So if something's going to be made up and you're going to brood on it, why don't you brood on what you would like to see rather than what you won't like to see, since we're making things up? You're always making things up. Always. Okay. I tell the story that I'm an Enneagram 6. If we go by those categories, when I did the test, that's what came up. And people who are Enneagram 6ers are people who have what we call pre-traumatic stress disorder. Nothing bad needs to happen. But an Enneagram 6 will go like, I'm driving to work. What if a car hits me? And in the process, I break my leg. And then I have to be in a cast for 6 weeks. And because of that, I couldn't work in my business. And because I couldn't work in my business, I lost my clients. And because I lost my clients, I was no more bringing in money. And because I wasn't bringing in money, I lost my team members. And because I lost so the palpitations are happening, the fear is happening, all of that stuff. Meanwhile, nothing has gone wrong. Nothing. That's the Enneagram 6 for you. That's all made up. Enneagram 6ers are just really good at doing it. Like, it's all made up. And so if that's the case, I can also make up like, what if I become very good at speaking? Let's say me, when I was a socially awkward, super shy, introverted introvert, right? Okay. What if I become really good at speaking, right? And, like even selling from the stage. And I went on this stage. I imagine myself in a room. I'm on a stage. There are 1,000 people in there, and I'm talking about what I do and all of those things. And I say certain things and they laugh. I say something things and they groan, right? Because it really resonated and all of those things. And I'm confident and showing up and delivering and all of that stuff. And I'm being paid. I pick a number, 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, being paid for that and all of those things. And then because of that, I have 1,000 new people who find my podcast, at 500 of them tell 10 people each. That's another 5,000 people. So I have 10,000 new subscribers because it's also made up. But this is nicer. And immediately you start doing that, you start thinking, if that's the case, maybe I should do this. If that's the case, maybe I should talk about that. It starts occurring to you the next steps to take. But when you're thinking and it's all weeds, it's all the negative stuff, it's all paralyzing. Okay? So brainwashing yourself. So let me give you some practical things, right? One would be a vision board. Okay? A vision board is not some woo-woo thing or whatever. Vision boards will change your life because you're making a visual representation of where you want to go. And so you're looking at it, right? You're looking at the vision board and you're doing what I like to do next, which is visualizing this as your reality, as your current reality. Like, you're feeling how you would feel in the moment. You have the emotions you would have in the moment. And you're seeing it and you're seeing yourself in it. And you're like, this is made up. Of course it is. It's all made up, right? Okay. So vision boards, visualizing. I love I am statements, right? Like, there's so many I ams that are difficult. I'm not good at this. I'm this. I'm not bold. I'm not confident. I'm not that. They're just defaults. It could be things people told us. It could be based on past experiences. It could be things we just, but you could also decide, no, this is who I am. I am bold. I am confident. I'm consistent. I'm relentless. And this. And you might say, well, I'm not any of those things. Okay. I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday and she told me something that blew my mind. I was like, what? She's an author. And she was not an author at the time, but she felt this thing of, okay, God wants me to write books. This is her story, right? And it's like, I want you to start identifying as an author, start saying I'm an author. And she says, but I'm not an author. I can identify as someone who's going to be an author. And this was the question she got. When does an apple tree become an apple tree? Does an apple tree become an apple tree after it has apple fruit? Or does the apple tree become an apple tree when it becomes? And I thought about it, I was like, wait a whole minute. What? When does an apple tree become an actual apple tree? It becomes an apple tree once it becomes a tree. Even if it never had any apples, it's an apple tree. That's crazy. But we'll do a whole podcast episode on that because that is nuts to think about it. So when you're saying as an entrepreneur that I'm a master at leading rock star teams, I'm a master at speaking confidently from stage, I'm a master at selling, I'm a master at engineering visibility. You may not be there, but you can say that and you can imagine that, and that can become your expectation. Because if you keep saying, "Oh, I procrastinate so much, and I'm not really a confident person," like, has that ever created massive results for you? No. So we're going to get rid of it because we have 12 months to focus. We have 12 months to focus and make the next 12 months the most amazing 12 months we have ever had in our lives. But to do that, we have to curate our expectation. Okay. And we have other tools that we use in the On Trendy Business School and all of those things to help us brainwash ourselves every day. Okay? Okay. Now, one of the experiments I'm doing, I'm actually doing this right now. I told the doctors in the On Trendy Business School, I was like, if you are committed to doing the uncomfortable things that are required for the needle to move forward in your business every day for 50 days, I will walk a 5K, so 3.1 miles in the cold, which I never do. Okay? So I'm the person who I walk, and once the weather gets below 60 degrees, I'm done walking until it gets back to 60 degrees. That's my walking habit. And I was like, I will walk in the cold every day for 50 days, 3.1 miles. And they're like, it's a deal. I'm like, okay, let's go. Right now, on that walk, one of the things I do is I brainwash myself for success. One of the things I do is I look at my vision board, digital, of course, on my phone. One of the things I do is I look at my I am statements, like the version of you that's going to show up at December 31st, who pulled all these things off. How does that person show up? How does that person act? What is true about that person, right? So I do all of those. I visualize my life on December 31st, 2026. I'm doing all of these things. What am I doing? Brainwashing myself for success, curating my expectation. Guys, you can't let your expectation happen to you. You gotta happen to it. Okay. So, like I'm working really hard on this stuff for myself, and I'm helping my clients do the same thing, and I'm telling you to do the same thing. Part of the motive here is that I hate fear. And I don't necessarily use hate as a word a lot, but I hate it because I want you to think. I look at some of the doctors in the Entrepreneur Business School. When they came into the school, they're employed physicians. Now they're running multi-million-dollar businesses. When they came into the Entrepreneur Business School, they were burnt out in a job. Now they're having lunch with their kids at school. They're taking off and traveling with their kids for sports. They're, like doing all of these things. They had, like, oh my goodness, my student loan, they've paid them off. Like so many things happening. But if they were afraid, and there are many people in my world I meet that way, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is fear. Let's kill it, right? If they were afraid, if they're like, I don't think I can do that, if their expectation is that those kind of things don't happen for people like me, guess what would happen? They wouldn't be in the position they're in now, and they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know that there is a version of them already in them who could become more than they can ever dream because fear held them back. Like this is part of how you crush fear. You can either be afraid and what you're afraid of is your expectation, or you can have faith and what you have faith for is your expectation. These are the only two ways. Your fear the thing you're afraid of cannot be your expectation because it will become your reality and it is too expensive. This is one life. This is not the rehearsal. It is too expensive for the thing you're afraid of to become your reality. So since you have a choice, expect the dream. Since you have a choice, expect that business you secretly want to build, you can build it. Since you have a choice, believe that even though people are saying, oh, you can't exit, oh, you can't take it to 7 figures, multiple 7 figures or 8 figures, whatever, choose to work on believing that. Because if you expect your fears, you will have your fears. I have seen it year after year after year, and I want nothing more than for you, everywhere you've seen fear, to take that and flip the expectation. I am making a commitment to myself, like my expectation, my practice is I will master having my expectation be what I truly want at all times. This is the mastery that I'm trying to gain. Because if I do that, then I'm setting myself up to believe in line with my with my goals, act accordingly, and create them. Where it goes from being these cute things that I write to cute things that I see in my life. So I want you to make a commitment. I will focus on developing expectations in line with my goals. When you find yourself thinking about something, brooding over something, secretly expecting it, doesn't mean you want it, but that's what you're expecting. And you don't want that thing you're expecting, stop it. Find what it is you truly want in that area and replace it. Don't let those thoughts sit. Don't let the expectation sit because it will cost you and it is too expensive. Think with me for a moment that you come to this place where your success being inevitable is your default thinking. You're at a place where at every time you're expecting what you want to see, where you recognize mindset viruses, AKA brooding on things you don't want. Thinking, oh, the way my business will turn out is this way, but it's something you don't want. Now you can see those things for the viruses they are. And you train your mind, you put in the reps to expect what you want. Expect what you want. You might say, but what if I can't pull it off? Expect what you want. You have pulled off so many things that maybe you couldn't have pulled off. You didn't think you could pull off. You are not the kind of person who pulled off. You're the first person in your family, in your community, or whatever to pull off what you pulled off. You can do it again. But until you fix the expectation, nothing changes. For instance, you hear 7 figures, you're like, I can't. Multiple 7 figures, I can't. But if you want it, and most of you want it, because financial freedom is a good thing. It gives you freedom to live life on your terms. Imagine where success thinking, expecting what you truly want, is now your default thing. That, my friends, is true freedom, because that is the starting point of creating a life of freedom, of being a limitless CEO, a limitless physician, of being the kind of doctor who has their dream business and their dream life, of being the person who takes every dream and makes it a reality, of being the person who, when you're done and it's time for you to leave this planet, you're like, I did it. I did it all. You can have that. Don't let anybody believe you can't. But this is your work. Go work on your expectation. You're the boss of it. Don't let it be weeds. Intentionally plant what you want to see. Okay, if this was good for you, share with another doctor in your world, and I will see you on the next episode of the Untrained Me podcast.